The U.S. House of Representatives finally has a new speaker. Republican Kevin McCarthy was sworn in after 15 rounds of voting. He faced fierce resistance from members of his own party. McCarthy was forced to make compromises with right-wingers to secure the post.
The Honorable Kevin McCarthy of the state of California, having received a majority of the votes cast, is duly elected Speaker of the House of Representatives.
After days of deadlock and 15 rounds of voting, Kevin McCarthy finally secured enough support to land the third most powerful job in US politics. The Republicans struggled to win the votes needed for a majority, as an arch-conservative faction of his party held out. There were heated scenes in the chamber when McCarthy supporter Mike Rogers almost came to blows with fellow Republican Matt Gaetz. After taking the oath of office, McCarthy swore in new members of the House elected in last November's midterm elections. Speaking shortly afterward, McCarthy gave a controversial thanks to a former president.
I do want to especially thank President Trump. I don't think anybody should doubt his influence. He was with me from the beginning. Somebody wrote the doubt of whether he was there, and he was all in.
But these celebrations over the culmination of this protracted leadership struggle are likely to be short-lived. McCarthy had to concede some powers to those in the right of his party, who will now have an inflated influence on big-ticket issues, including government budgets, immigration policy, and how much Congress is prepared to spend to continue to support Ukraine.
Well, for more on this, we can speak now to Charles Kupchan, who joins me now from Washington. He is a senior fellow at the U.S. Council on Foreign Relations. Welcome to DW. An interesting comment by Kevin McCarthy after he was finally voted in. He thanked Donald Trump for his support. What kind of influence did the former president have on the entire process?
Well, this was a real political mess for the United States. We haven't seen this kind of delay in electing a House Speaker since the Civil War era. And really what's going on here is that because the Republicans took the House by a very small margin, the far right wing of the party, what's called the Freedom Caucus, the America First wing that is part of Donald Trump's political program, now has enormous power. It's not a huge caucus. There are about 21 members that were voting against McCarthy initially. But because of the close margin in the House, just a handful of seats, they needed those votes to get McCarthy into the speakership. So was this about Donald Trump? No, not really. It's bigger than that. It's about a very strong far-right coalition in the Republican Party that's going to make life difficult for McCarthy as he takes over the House, starting with today.
Well, what about the U.S. foreign policy? What impact will this new House leadership have on that? Can we expect a major shift?
I don't think you'll see any serious change in the direction of policy because the president has a lot of leeway. The president is still Joe Biden, and he will continue to pursue the policies that he's put in place during his first 2 years. But I do think you will see a change in resource availability. The Republicans are already talking about cutting the defense budget. They've been talking about making it more difficult for Biden to get the resources that he wants for Ukraine, both military and economic. There's a big fight looming over raising the debt ceiling. And given how paralyzed the Republicans appear to be, I think Biden is going to have a very difficult time assuming that he can get congressional support. So the real rub here will be on the resource question.
That was Charles Kupchan from the Council on Foreign Relations. Thank you so very much for your insights.
Sure.